This video is going up a little later than what I wanted it to, but better late than never, so here it is. There are a lot of games today that we are playing that happen to be live service games. To some degree, I'm okay with that, as many of these games get updated often to fix bugs and allow players to get back to the game, so long as the update isn't 100 gigs and makes me wait an hour or two in order to play the game. Call of Duty. Now, of course, this also means requiring a constant connection to the internet in order to play the game, which sucks, but this whole situation of live service games is a back and forth battle of pros and cons. The premise of this video is to offer up a solution to live service games at the end of their lifetime, and maybe cover a few other odds and ends that are relevant to live service games. With every live service game that we play, there is always the looming threat of the game being shut down, and with that means we aren't going to be able to play it anymore. All the hours we logged into the game and grinding on those sections that drove us insane will all be for nothing. To some people, the cosmetics in the game is their life, and one of the things that they look forward to the most, and after a while the cost of these cosmetics will add up. If the game gets shut down, they lose access to all of these things that they bought with their hard-earned money. There's also the season pass, but season passes are gimmicky, and anyone watching the past few videos knows I hate season passes, and will continue to piss and moan about it until the day I die. The only respectable season pass was the one from Fall Guys when it first came out. It was just a free season pass, but you still had to grind to get the items, which is what made it so good. Getting back on topic, the state right now of live service games is a gamble. You'd better hope you started playing around the time the game first came out, and even then, in order to keep playing, the game needs to succeed. From personal experience, I really haven't had to worry about live service games all that much, but with gaming moving forward, many companies are choosing to release live service games as opposed to standalone games. I've played WoW, Wizard 101, GTA Online, and a few others, but never dropped a whole lot of money into the games. But time is another story. The one game that has affected me though is a game by the name of Kartrider Drift. This game was a ton of fun and I wish it would have kept going, but that obviously wasn't my choice. Nexon shut down the game last year in February and made it so you can no longer access the game or any of the content associated with it. I think now they are pushing another game under the name of Kartrider, but Drift still is the best rendition of the series. I'm sure others would agree. Now to finally get to the point of what it is I'm trying to say. If or when the live service game that you are playing is going to get shut down by the company, there needs to be a post-live plan. The biggest thing that I can think of is adding an option for peer-to-peer and LAN. Since the server-client connection will no longer be allowed for that game that is being shut down, this is the last option that the consumer has to play the game unless the game has some form of single-player or local co-op. Why this isn't already a standard or practice is beyond me. Most people that are on PCs have an Ethernet port on their motherboard, and should they want to have a LAN party and continue playing the game they either bought or logged a lot of time and or money into, then they should be able to. To anyone using Wi-Fi on their PC, I'm sorry, it's a cruel world, and I hope things get better for you soon. What about consoles though? Well, it's more or less the same thing. While a lot of them are getting rid of disk drives, the one thing they are still using is an Ethernet port. It's very uncommon nowadays to see people having LAN parties with consoles because there's little to no support for it, but this would also be a reason for a post-live plan. For many consoles back in the 2000s, they came equipped with an Ethernet port or peripheral of some sort that allowed players to connect their consoles to one another and play on a local network. Halo comes to mind whenever I think about LAN parties on console. Xbox is always good for things like that. For some games, this is going to require a lot of storage, but with how much you can fit on a hard drive or SSD now, that might not be too hard. The thing that will stop you there is going to be the availability of the product as well as the price. The same can be said for cosmetics, but for cosmetics, we have already seen this play out. For anyone that was on Xbox 360 knows about the avatars and the thousands of items that they could use to customize their character. These items held a low file size individually, but when you had hundreds of them, could amount to a hefty chunk of space. Luckily for me, I never wanted a lot, but for others they downloaded as much as they could so they could use it when they wanted. That should be the goal in the end. If the company no longer sees that its product is worth keeping online or available to the public, then the least that they could do is have it modified to use offline for the user. Let me go even a step further, and this won't sit well with a lot of people, but I would rather have games that are active now as well as shut down worked on so that there is an offline LAN peer-to-peer option than have there ever be another game released ever. I'm not a big fan of a lot of games that are coming out today and how they operate, but I do know that there are a lot of games from years before that, given the option, people would still play if brought back and it was made available to play again. Not talking about a remaster or a port, but just modifying the game so it fits the above talking points. I think some of the evidence that supports this would in fact be the people that buy the remasters and ports of previously made games. I feel like for most, so long as the devs are able to polish off anything that might turn into a bug or problem, it would be a good note to end on. So long as we're able to continue playing the game after the main server shut down, I don't think we need any more updates or content to the game, but that's just me. The moment you shut down the main servers that are required to play the game, it no longer functions as its intended purpose. If the game is not live and I can't access it as a service, then that should pave the way for it to follow its next phase as being a standalone game, or one to access when I want without having to connect to a main server. As far as I know, there is nothing that says you can't do this, so why not give it a shot? the results would shock you. It bothers me to think that for whatever reason this just happened to slip the minds of the company or developers when producing and thinking about how the operation of the game would play. If they knew eventually that the game would shut down to move on to another project, why would there not be a plan in place to be able to let the players keep playing? Many of the things that I've just talked about will sound familiar, and it's probably not the first time this has been said. Stop Killing Games has been working on this movement now for a few years, but I wanted to add some thoughts that I had about the situation as well. I'd like to believe somewhere within this video I came up with something coherent that will make sense and be original, but I feel like most will see it as parroting or copy and paste. Looking at a good bit of the documentation of Stop Killing Games, there were some things not mentioned, so there's that. I don't have too much more to add to this topic other than I hope that at some point a plan gets established for games that are live right now, games that are getting ready to be shut down, and games that have shut down will be playable when their live service stage comes to a close. I feel like that's not too much to ask for, especially for the people that have loyally stuck by the game, its developers, and the company through all of the ups and downs that might have occurred in the time of playing said game. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. It helps push the channel forward on its last run, and should I get the results I'm after, I might continue these videos, but who knows. I still plan on releasing a small burst of videos after this one, but I need things to line up for me, or it might be another week until I get them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.